Have you ever been working with Joomla and you wanted to include something from another site, say a YouTube video or a Twitter feed or a Facebook feed, and those sites spit out a little bit of HTML which you copied and you put into Joomla, then it just didn't work and you had no idea what happened, but for whatever reason, you couldn't see that video or that feed inside of Joomla. You were very frustrated and you weren't quite sure what happened. Well, you've encountered one of Joomla's features. It's not a bug. It is indeed a feature inside of Joomla. And Joomla would like to keep you safe from hackers and people with bad intentions towards your website. So one of the things that Joomla does is that for certain HTML tags that you put into your website, it very helpfully strips them out for you, in some cases by default. In earlier versions of Joomla, Joomla was configured specifically to ignore tags like iframe, which is a tag that is used inside of YouTube feeds and Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds. And it was very frustrating for a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of questions about why that was happening and how you could prevent it from happening. So I wanted to be sure to cover that here in this particular course. Inside of your global configuration, there is a place where you can configure which tags Joomla can and cannot strip out of your code. It's also important to know that not only Joomla will strip tags out of your code, the editor that you're using, like JCE, may also strip tags out of your code. So you're going to need to make sure in two places that certain tags are permitted for various users for your website. And I'm going to show you how to do that over the course of the next videos. This video, I'm going to work on the Joomla settings, and in the next video, I'll cover the JCE settings. So Joomla settings used to be located in the article options. They're now located in the global configuration. So if you go to the global configuration by clicking on the icon here on the control panel and going to the text filters item here, you will see all of the current user groups that are available within Joomla. Now, those of you who have worked with ACL, if you have changed ACL on your website, you may have different user groups that are pictured here. These are the ones that come by default with Joomla. If you installed the sample data, you may have some additional groups here that you don't see on this particular list. But if you've installed Joomla and you did not install the sample data, and this is a clean install of Joomla, this is what you should see on the screen. So for each one of these user groups, you'll have a certain kind of filtering that's allowed or not allowed. And I'm going to tell you what all those things are, which you can get if you mouse over the drop down here. It'll actually spell it all out in detail. But if you take a look at your options, from the most amount of filtering down to the least amount of filtering, I'll tell you what they are. So the most amount of filtering is the no HTML setting. No HTML means, well, no HTML. If you put in any HTML tag, it will be stripped out by Joomla. And you'll see that our public user group, which is basically anyone who's visiting the front end of your website and who's not logged in, and your registered user group are both set to no HTML. In other words, these two user groups can't put any HTML into your site at all. That's probably a great setting because these are the least engaged and involved users with your website. They're casual users. It's quite possible that there's no reason for them to ever put any content up on your website, so why would they need to put up HTML in the first place? The second most amount of stripping that will go on is the default blacklist. And that is the setting for authors, editors, publishers, and managers. Blacklisting indicates that there are certain tags that cannot be included inside of your code. If you put in those particular tags, Joomla will strip those tags out and not allow them to exist. In the note that comes up when you mouse over these drop downs, it tells you exactly what they are. Right there where it says the tags for default blacklist include applet, body, BG sound, base, base font, embed, frame, frame set, head, HTML, ID, iframe, ilayer, layer, link, meta, name, object, script, style, title, and XML. There's also some attributes. Remember, attributes describe an HTML tag. So if your HTML tag is a form tags, an attribute would be the action attribute. So action, background, code-based, din source, and low source are some that are not permitted by the default blacklist as well. So the default blacklist is great. It's got a lot of good tags that are being filtered out. However, the iframe tag is one of those tags that's being filtered out. Now, Joomla's development team had a very good reason to filter out the iframe tag. It can certainly be a security risk, but it is definitely the tag that is used for things like Twitter feeds, Facebook feeds, and YouTube videos. So if you'd like to include any of those on your site, but you otherwise like the default blacklist setting, you can use the custom blacklist setting. So to make that happen, change the drop-down here to the custom blacklist. And by default, if you have the custom blacklist drop-down in place but no tags specified, there is no filtering happening anywhere. All of the tags that anybody happens to put into an article, they go right up on the site. You have to then specify every single tag that should not be included as part of your blacklist, all of the tags that you're not going to tolerate being put up on the website. And they all have to be listed out one by one. In your exercise files, I've created a text file for you that has a list of all of those blacklisted tags by Joomla, which you can just highlight and copy, paste into place under the filter tags spot here for super users. So now what you've created is a blacklist that's equivalent to the default blacklist, and now you can get rid of tags or add to tags as necessary. And the tag that I'd like to get rid of is the iframe tag. So I'm just going to scroll on over here in my custom blacklist and find my iframe tag, and I'm going to erase it. So now the iframe tag is not one of the blacklisted tags. And what that should mean is that in 2 videos where I put a YouTube video into my page, my code should go right on in. It should not be stripped out by Joomla. So that's a very helpful thing. The last setting that you have is the no filtering setting, which is applicable to super users and administrators by default. No filtering means that you can put in any HTML tags into your articles and they will show up on the website. So obviously you're only going to use that setting if you have administrators and super users that you truly trust. Personally, I think I'd go with the custom blacklist option and not use no filtering. And that would ensure that you could hone exactly which tags you want people to be allowed to use and not use. A little bit more control over things than just allowing absolutely anything. All right, when you're done setting this up, go ahead and hit save and close. Remember that tag filtering can happen in 2 places. It happens at the Joomla level, which you configure through the global configuration, and it can also happen at the editor level, which we'll need to change with JCE settings, and that's what we're going to do next.